All right, so we got ourselves a shift register, an integrated circuit, being utilized in conjunction with an Arduino and some programming to cause the outputs to kind of go low in a manner that kind of makes it like, kind of cascade on down like dominoes or whatever. So with this circuit chip, this IC chip, integrated circuit chip, I don't know if that's the right terminology, you have 3 inputs and 8 outputs. I guess 9 outputs if you count the output that is used for connecting another chip in series, I guess. Maybe if you count that one, I guess that'd be 9 outputs, but that one's specifically for that purpose only, so it doesn't really count as an output as far as like, outputs like this go. But so your 3 inputs, basically one either sets the voltage high or low, and at that point, when you check the other input, when you hit the other input, say that you don't have that first one high, it'll collect that as a 0 into the compiler or whatever. Or if that first one is high, it counts it as a 1. And then the third input kind of pushes that data point into the outputs, depending on which pin to go high or low. So, for example, if, say, you have that first input high, and you send 1, 2, 3 inputs, and then you send it across, you'll get output 0, 1, and 2 to go high, and the rest will remain low. And at that point, if you want, you can not have the first input high and press, shoot over 2 more inputs on a low setting, and then when you hit your shift, what'll happen is those 3 lights will move over 2 places. So outputs 0, 1. So 0, 1, 0. So output 0 and 1 will be low, and then 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be high. And basically, that's kind of how that will work until there is one of these. There's a couple that there's a memory that needs to remain high. So if that goes low, like if you disconnect it, basically that's like hardwired in. But if you it doesn't have to be just hardwired in. Like it can be wired through a button, like a normally closed button. And so if you press that button, that'll kind of clear the cache, I guess. That's not really the right word, but it'll clear the bit storage. So you can do that to clear it. But otherwise, you just kind of go through the sequence of the inputs. So like, it'll just kind of loop until you get to the 8 position, and then it'll start back at the top. So, if you say you got your button high and you press all 8 inputs, and then you dump it, you'll have all 8 lights on. And then from there, if you just start sending zeros across, all 8 will light up, and then they'll, in sequence kind of shut down. So it's a little confusing, but it kind of makes sense also. Alrighty. Alright, so now we got it wired up with buttons to kind of showcase what we were talking about earlier. So you can turn all the signals on here. and this one will send zeros through. It's a little sensitive, but in theory, come on. Yeah, there you go, whatever. Should just do one at a time, but it's a little sensitive. But yeah, basically, still just anyway. So it should function a little differently than that, but that's in part the idea, where through the series of 3 inputs you can kind of compile and send down bits of data to service different outputs. This way seems to work pretty good, but for whatever reason I can't get it to really go the other way very well. But I think that's about as good as we're going to have it for now, seeing as how it is 6:15 on a Tuesday and this is due on Thursday, and I still gotta figure out my computer programming lab. So try to play with that over the break and maybe learn how to utilize it a little better. But for the purposes of the lab, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this in, and while it might only net a C grade is better than a 0. So, like I say, it's a level of understanding I didn't have previously, so I'm not saying this is a completely wasted effort, but I would like to have the time to really kind of unpack and unravel and troubleshoot to figure out. I mean, I will have that time, but right now that I got to get out of the building and I got to get on to other classes that are also demand my attention. So I will have to also figure out how to put 2 videos together and maybe edit them down and trim them down for time. Alrighty. Well, okay, bye.